Okay, sorry about the wait. I had to go to the dump and then the store, and I wanted to start this sooner, but when I went to the store, I actually got into a little bit of a fender bender in the parking lot because it was so crowded there, because apparently it was Easter weekend, which it slipped my mind. And I was driving my dad's car because it's garbage day, so I borrowed my dad's car, and I don't like driving that thing because it's really big. It's kind of hard to move around in that thing, so I accidentally dinged this woman's car as I was trying to park. Thought I had more room than I had anyway, so that took a while to resolve. She was cool about it, thankfully, but yeah, it just took a while. And then when I got home, I kind of dozed off for a little bit. So here we are. Later than I wanted to start. Sorry for that. But yeah, we got a show to talk about, so let's do it. You guys hear me okay? Alright, let me know if you can hear me. Missed the Shield stream. Is it okay if I post some comments on here? Yeah, go ahead, dude. Okay, cool. Alright. Let's do this thing. Talking about Impact from January, February, March, April 13th. From this past Thursday, which I didn't actually get to see until Friday, because I had to work on Thursday. Anyway, not important. So the show begins not as suddenly as the one last time, because we start with a match, but we actually get to see all the entrances here. So we get Decay versus Reno Scum versus Laredo Kid and Garza Jr. in our newly revamped tag team division. Right when this match starts, Josh Matthews said something interesting. He mentions that he said in a YouTube video that he would leave the broadcast booth if his team loses. And I think one of you guys told me about this last week, but I didn't see it. Okay, so there's an actual stipulation for the main event here, so there's something at stake now. Good. My issue is, why didn't they say this on the show? Okay, that's a big component of the main event. Why not announce that on the show? Why are you announcing it in a fucking YouTube video? Okay, I don't want to have to... Is this going to be a thing now, where we have to go like across platforms and like all these different places, go to the YouTube page, the Facebook page, the Snapchat page, whatever, just to get all the necessary information we need to understand what's going on in any given match? Is that going to be a thing now? Because that's annoying. Now, I guess you can announce, like, supplementary, like, material, like, unnecessary information that can provide additional context and stuff on other platforms, but give me all the important stuff on the TV show, please. Especially at big stipulations like that. Anyway. All right, match. We get Rosemary interfering for her guys outside the ring. I always like when she gets involved in that type of stuff. You don't see a lot of knockouts doing that. Well, Sienna's starting to do that too, which is cool. Pretty good match. I don't like Reno Scum. I just don't. Their gimmick is cheesy. The oi 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 thing is stupid. Mohawk sideburns guy looks like an ass. I just don't like them. They're not bad wrestlers, but the whole presentation of them is just I don't care for it. It's just not my thing. So of course they win the match by pinning the Decay. Look, I understand that new talents need wins to get over, and the only established tag team you have right now is the Decay. But it is also important to keep the only established tag team you have looking strong. Because if everybody starts beating them, then the act of beating them doesn't mean anything after a while. And these guys were so hot last year, feuding with the Wolves, the Hardys, Beer Money, being presented like they were on the same level as those teams. And what's happening to them now? What the fuck? It really feels like the Decay are being thrown under the bus here for no other reason than simply because they were part of the previous regime. But what Jeff Jarrett... it feels like Jeff Jarrett is coming at this with an agenda, like taking anything from the previous regime, even stuff that was working under the previous regime, and just destroying it to put over his regime as the greatest thing ever. It seems very short-sighted, and it's stupid. Why are the Decay losing so much? This is dumb. They should be kept strong because they should be the ones gearing up for a feud with LAX. Because that's the biggest ready-made feud in the tag team division you've got. Who are LAX going to feud with instead? Fucking Reno Scum? Reno Scum aren't even over yet. I wonder if they're even going to get over. Because like I said, this gimmick is kind of dumb. Anyway, the Decay lose, even though they have Rosemary outside helping them. So we're just continuing this downward spiral of the Decay losing and being made to look weak, and I don't like it. So next, we got Bruce Pritchard coming out, and he is there to announce who the fans have decided is going to be the number one contender to Bobby Lashley. I don't know why the number one contender isn't Alberto El Patron by virtue of his previous win over Bobby Lashley, but I guess that's just not being addressed here. My question is, how were the fans polled about this? Was this ever announced? Was there like a Twitter poll or something that I missed or something? Was there a poll on Facebook? Somebody help me out here because I didn't see anything. If there was an announcement about that, I didn't see it. Anyway, it's between EC3, James Storm, and Matt Morgan. And James Storm wins, which I'm totally cool with. Hashtag Storm for champ. But I kind of wonder what happened after that. I guess Storm went to have a celebratory beer or a celebratory 10 beers because EC3 comes out instead to confront Pritchard. Now EC3 is he's rightfully perturbed about this situation, and he feels the vote was rigged. And Pritchard, here's where it gets weird. Pritchard says that the fans voted for James Storm, but you could hear the crowd chanting, "No, we didn't." And they haven't, which is very strange. I mean, they weren't shy about sweetening the crowd with the pumped-in crowd noise this week anyway, but they're letting chants like that slide, even though they're clearly hurting the segment. I didn't get it. And the bitch of it is, this was taped before the fans would have been polled online, so the ironic thing is, the vote probably was rigged. So anyway, Pritchard tells EC3 to ask himself, what happened to the EC3 who was the man? Because this is the EC3 who tapped out to El Patron, and it's like, did you tap out in the match or did you tap out on yourself? And so, it's you can see where it's going. All right, they're obviously pushing toward an EC3 heel turn, and this does feel that this is good fuel for it. But when you turn somebody heel, we're not supposed to be agreeing with them. And that's what's happening here, because this situation seems very contrived. Because if you think about it, the vote was pretty obviously fixed. So it feels like Pritchard is screwing EC3 over, instead of EC3 just being pissed off that the fans didn't vote for him. He says, the fans voted for James Storm. No, we didn't! No, we didn't! Yeah. Now, I see where they're going, what they were going for with this, but this could have been executed better. And if you say you're going to do a fan poll, actually do the fucking fan poll. I'm just saying. If you have to fudge the results, so be it. But don't say you're going to do something and then not do it. And then announce the results anyway, that you're just making up. So, then we move on to a mixed tag match. between Sienna and my man, Big KM, the First Lady and Vice President of the GTFO Karen Club. And they're in a match against Allie and Braxton Sutter. And, again, we see the knockouts attacking the men here, which I find very entertaining. Braxton Sutter gets the better of KM at one point, and Sienna just jumps in the ring and attacks Braxton. I just find that very fun. Anyway, so the dudes fight for a little bit, and then the women tag in. And then very quickly it ends. Overall, kind of a short match that ends abruptly with a downright terrible finish. I'm not mincing words about that. Just a terrible fucking finish. Sienna has Allie hoisted up, and then she takes a step back. She trips over KM, and she basically falls into a pin cover by Allie. And the referee counts, and she can't push Allie off her. Why the fuck can't she push Allie off her? Look at Sienna, for fuck's sake. Hell, I'm 6'1", 180 pounds. She could probably bench press my flabby ass. I'm pretty sure I weigh a lot more than Allie does. But Sienna can't push her off? I was watching this, I said to myself, this is fucking stupid. That was dumb. I guess they wanted to book like a fluke win for Allie, where she gets the win from out of nowhere. But this didn't make Allie look lucky. It just made Sienna look terrible. Because there was no reason in the fucking world why she couldn't just push Allie off. The whole thing was just awful. So yeah, terrible finish to the match there. Terrible finish. So the faces win. And then the Fury that they've been teasing for a few weeks, the Fury arrives, and it's Congo Kong. Not shockingly, another GFW guy. And, wow. In future appearances, please make Congo Kong wear a shirt. The shirtless look is not a good look for this guy. He has breasts. Big, floppy, manly breasts. Cover that shit up, dude. Please. Anyway, so he attacks Braxton Sutter, and Sienna's kind of directing traffic here, and he takes out Sutter, and then she tells him to back off, and then Laurel Van Ness appears, and her and Sienna double team Allie, so the heels are standing tall at the end, and this appears to be the formation of a new, not ladies squad, because there's two dudes in it, but it's a new squad of some kind with Sienna as apparently the ringleader, which is very interesting. And I would say, out of all the people affected by the loss of Maria Kanellis, I think Sienna has certainly benefited the most. Because it appears that she's kind of stepping into the ringleader position, whereas before she was kind of suffering because she was always standing behind Maria, and she didn't really get utilized to her full capacity. She didn't really get to talk at all, and didn't really get to wrestle that much, at least not as much as she should. And now she's a lot more front and center. She gets to talk a lot more for herself, and now she's got people standing behind her. So Sienna is really benefiting a lot, even though she did lose the match here. But now, hey, she looks like she's leading her own faction at this point now. So she's really on her way up the ladder, which is cool. I do think it's about time that we kind of turn the page to the next chapter of this LVN gimmick. I don't know how much mileage they can get out of the drunken, jilted bridezilla thing, as entertaining as it has been. It's time for her. I think it's time for her to kind of get a hold of herself, and just really kind of change out of the wedding dress and clean herself up and go after Allie properly, because there is too much of a good thing there. Just saying. Yeah, so I liked some of what they did here, but the finish of the match was terrible. And, dude, change Kong's ring gear. Give him a singlet or a shirt or fuck it, or something, dude. Seriously. Anyway, moving on from somebody who has benefited from the new regime to someone that I'm worried may not be benefiting from the new regime in the Knockouts champion Rosemary, who has a match with Santana Garrett. Santana Garrett, who is a very good worker and yet was left in the back when they were doing that terrible Gauntlet Battle Royal last week. I don't know why she wasn't in it. She could have made that match a lot better. But anyway, here we are. We got a one-on-one match. Rosemary, Santana Garrett. No mention that Santana was previously in Impact as Brittany. Probably for the best, considering how her run as Brittany went. So I don't have a problem with that. And good match. Albeit kind of short, but, Santana she easily comes off better than all the ham and egger hopefuls we saw last week in that Gauntlet Battle Royal. None of them came off well in that one, but Santana's very good here. So, it's a simple enhancement match. Like I said before, I think they're taking all the women who were in the Knockouts Knockdown pay-per-view, which I think was last night, and just, introducing them on the TV show first, which, okay, fine. It doesn't seem entirely necessary to me, but whatever. I'm not going to complain about it. And, Rosemary goes over. Nice enhancement match for her. Oddly enough, her upcoming title match with ODB is never even mentioned. It's kind of strange that you wouldn't want to hype that up. I don't know, guys. I'm seeing a lot of warning signs that this regime is not as high on the Decay or Rosemary by herself as they should be. Because Rosemary's definitely seen a reduction in her screen time and her presence on the show since the new writers took over, and I'm getting a bad feeling. If they fuck up Rosemary, I'm gonna be not happy. Let's put it that way. So anyway, previously in the night, we had Shane Helms confronting Andrew Everett backstage, and he puts Everett in a Fatal 4-Way X Division match. So apparently Shane Helms does have some kind of booking power, kayfabe-wise. That's never been stated on the show, but I guess I don't know, maybe he's like the X Division authority figure or something. We've got a management consortium with this ill-defined number of management personnel. I guess Shane Helms is part of that somehow. Like I said, this hasn't been confirmed or denied, so that's what I'm going with for right now. So I guess he has some kind of booking power there. I have no idea why every division needs to have an authority figure, but this seems just completely wasteful and pointless, but whatever. So he puts Everett in a Fatal 4-Way, and Everett kind of goads him into putting himself in the match. All right. Fine, I don't have an issue with that. From a storyline perspective, it's fine, I guess, but it did really call into question the finish of the match later on. Which we see when they do the match of Andrew Everett versus Suicide versus All Day Marche Rocket versus Gregory Shane Helms. Good match that ends with Andrew Everett pinning Marche Rocket, which begs the question, why pin an active wrestler when you have a manager character in the match? Why make the active competitor eat the pin if you don't have to? Okay, I understand not wanting the face to get over on the heel too soon, but he wouldn't be getting over on the guy he's facing. He'd be getting over on the manager of the guy he's facing for the title. So was there a reason why he couldn't pin Shane Helms here? I don't really understand this finish. I will say that Andrew Everett has a hell of a shooting star press. He goes straight up and just kind of hangs there in midair for a second and then drops down. I don't know how he does that, but he's really impressive move when he does that. So he wins the match and they sell this like, okay, they're going to have to give him a title shot now. So I guess we're going to see that pretty soon. Helms and Trevor Lee attack him post-match, and he actually fights Trevor Lee off, and then Helms bails out. So they're doing well with Andrew Everett right now. They're building him up nicely. He's connecting with the audience. I want to see him win the X Division title in the not-too-distant future. If you want to save that for Slammiversary, That's fine. But yeah, we got a good one-on-one feud going in the X division, which is something this division has been sorely lacking for a long time. So it's working. It's effective. You got a budding star here in Andrew Everett. I think if he could just work on that midsection a little bit, kind of tone things up in that area, things are looking good. So good stuff there. Even though Marche Rocket getting pinned is like, what? Why? I don't know. It felt like the wrong finish to me. And then we move on to, I guess you can also call this an X Division match if you want to. 2 X Division matches on the same show? Fine with me. With the Lone Wolf, Davey Richards versus DJZ. Why are they calling Davey Richards the Lone Wolf? He's not alone. He's coming out with his fucking wife. Whatever. Good match. It ends with Davey locking the ankle lock on the previously injured leg, so DJZ taps out immediately. I wish they had pointed out that leg was previously injured, because they didn't mention that. And it kind of made him look weak when he tapped out so quick. I mean, just mention the thing is injured. It's easy. And I guess that would distract them from their constant bickering amongst themselves, the announcers. Because God knows that's of paramount importance, right? Anyway, Davey wins, good enhancement match for him, and hopefully they can give DJZ a little bit of time off to heal up, because now he's post-colon surgery, so that's going to be bugging him for a little while. Anywho, here's where it gets weird. Eddie Edwards runs down the ramp, and he gets stopped by security. Why? And then Alicia runs down the ramp and attacks Angelina, and security doesn't stop her. So you've got security trying to separate the 2 contracted talents and ignoring the non-contracted person while she attacks a member of the roster. Yeah, like 6, 7, 8 security people separating Davey and Eddie. Meanwhile, Alicia is pounding on Angelina, and you get like the 2 officials gently trying to coax her off. It's priorities, guys. Why are you trying to separate the 2 men? Okay. Because kayfabe-wise, Alicia is not supposed to be a member of the roster. Again, I feel like I'm nitpicking, but it's just little details like that bug me, you know? Anyway, that brings us to the main event, which actually devoted quite a lot of time to this, of Team JB versus Team GOAT to decide the future of the announced team. If Josh Matthews' team loses, he leaves the announced team. So JB didn't have to put anything up if his team loses, surprisingly enough. I thought, what's fair is fair. I think if Matthews leaves, if he loses, then JB should have done the same thing for his team. Anyway, we got Magnus, Matt Morgan, Alberto El Patron, and Chris Masters. One of these things is not like the others. Versus Bobby Lashley, Bram, Eli Drake, and Tyrus. One of these things is not like the others. This match really needed pre-match promos from the wrestlers. Because I don't think we saw any of these people all night. The whole thing was built up entirely by the announcers bickering and arguing amongst themselves when they should have been calling the fucking show. This does not make for good television. I don't know why they've been playing that up so much. I think this would have been a lot more effective if we'd heard from the wrestlers prior to the match. And they would have had time for that if not for the 2 earlier tonight segments that they aired that went on for fucking ever. I think there was one with Reno Scum where they aired like the last couple minutes of the tag match for some reason. And then another one that I just skipped over. But yeah, but God, those things were fucking long. Why air so much of them? I'll get to that later. So they have this match, and it doesn't get as heated as you might think. Ironically, the ones who've done the best job of selling this thing were the announcers, because they were the ones who've been selling the hell out of their mutual animosity. I mean, I believe that JB and Josh legitimately hate each other. Because, yeah, it's been annoying to listen to them bickering throughout the whole show when they should be calling the show. But they make you think that these guys legitimately cannot stand each other. They really sell that well. And the match doesn't really reflect that. And so, anyway, it feels like it's kind of stuck in first gear for the entire match. It's a pretty lengthy match, too. Unfortunately, it doesn't get into second gear until the last minute or two of the match. It's not bad, it just needed more intensity than we got here. And it ends with Magnus pinning Bram. Now, given their history, that does make sense. I think they could have stood to mention the history between these guys, but it makes sense considering what happened with them previously before Magnus left the first time. The problem is, when you have Tyrus on the heel team, why have somebody who's actually talented eat the pin? Okay, yeah, technically it made sense given the history between Magnus and Bram, but it was also unnecessary. Why are you jobbing out a guy who's talented when you have a non-talented piece of shit that could eat the pin instead? It's just stupid. This is what you put Tyrus in a match for. Why is he there if not to get jobbed out so someone else doesn't have to? So you figure that one out. Anyway, I will say that JB's post-match victory celebration was awesome. I cracked up. He's doing a little dance, and he's like an umpire in like a Major League Baseball game. He's like, yeah, you know, it was fucking funny actually. And then the babyface roster comes out just to laugh at Josh, and it's this big uplifting feel-good moment. At least that was the intention. It kind of felt a little bit overblown because, again, it's just an announcer. And it's not like Josh has been a thorn in the side of the entire roster for years and years. This is not like the end of the Austin McMahon feud, where it's this huge cathartic moment and he's like, na na na, na 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 na, oh hell yeah, goodbye, and he gets the whole crowd to sing it as the evil tyrant is finally defeated and walks away with his tail between his legs. No, it's just an announcer who has only really been healing it up for a couple weeks. Okay, I get that Josh Matthews is not a popular announcer, but still, kayfabe-wise, the whole thing it just felt like they were celebrating. They were making a lot out of something that didn't feel like that big of a deal to me. Anyway, that was Impact this week. Whatever timing issues that caused the end of the show to be cut from the broadcast version and shunted to the YouTube page last week weren't a factor this time. So everything at least got to air. My issue was the two earlier tonight segments that were just showing stuff that we'd seen already and went on for like 5 or 6 minutes total. That was downright inexcusable and a criminal waste of time. What I think happened was they knew the show was going to run long last week, so they overcompensated here, and as a result, this show wound up way too short, so they had to add in some stuff to get to runtime. Though why they didn't start by just adding in the stuff we didn't see last week, I have no idea. Also, goddammit, Jeff Jarrett, stop fucking with the decay already. Jesus Christ, I know you must think they're worse than Hitler because they represent the previous regime, and goddamn the previous regime to hell, but they're one of your best acts. And you're leaving tons of money on the table by booking them like crap, so knock that shit off. Not everything from the previous regime was stupid. Some of it worked very well, and the Decay were one of those things. So stop doing these guys wrong. And then you've got this main event program that has been more about the announcers than the wrestlers in the ring, which is so WWE. And JB kind of saved the whole thing with the way he sold the hell out of Josh leaving the announce booth, but at the same time, it's just an annoying commentator. Why are we making such a big deal out of this? Why are we devoting so much time to this? I don't know. I really hope this set of TV tapings was just a transitional period. You know, these shows haven't been bad, but it did feel like some of the focus was on the wrong things, and there were so many debuts and returns in such a short amount of time that you couldn't really focus on any one person, so none of the newbies really made an effective impression except for LAX. For the next set of TV tapings, I want to see more focus. Stop trying to flood the show with tons of new talent all at once. Leave your agendas at the door. I'm talking to the writers here. Stop jobbing out the people who shouldn't be getting jobbed out. Identify your key players. Get some feuds going, and stop with the feuding announcers crap. Just let the announcers call the show. That is their job, after all. It's going. Holy moly, there's a lot of people, a lot of questions here. Okay. Thoughts on the JBL situation? Getting mainstream attention. I'm glad it's getting mainstream attention. Because maybe that'll force the WWE to fire that guy. Because fuck JBL. If even half the stories I've heard about him are true, they need to can that guy's ass. And good fucking riddance. So yeah, I'm glad it's getting a lot of attention, and I hope they respond in kind by getting rid of that dumbass. Rosemary with a clean win over Santana was nice to see. Yes, it was. Nice to see Rosemary get a win under her belt before the ODB match, which I'm still getting a really bad feeling about. Yeah. Okay, so there was a Make Impact Great graphic followed by a Karen Jarrett promo. Pick one. Yeah, exactly. Wow. I'm never going to be able to keep up with all these. Will Santana be signed to a major promotion anytime soon? TNA should scoop her up before WWE does with their women's tournament. She's one of those people that I'm kind of surprised hasn't been signed somewhere. I mean, she did have that previous run in Impact, but that didn't really work out through no real fault of her own. She just got really screwed over by creative. But, she's made a number of appearances in NXT. I think it's probably only a matter of time before she gets signed somewhere, if that's what she's looking for. I mean, she's got the tools. I'm not sure why it hasn't happened already, though. Do you see Matthews being Lashley or his wife's mouthpiece? Well, possibly. I don't think... I mean, Lashley and his wife really don't need mouthpieces. I could see him... I could see him being kind of a toady for EC3. Because, that segment a couple weeks ago, he pointed out that he was cool with EC3 while hating the new regime. So they're kind of on the same page character-wise, so I could kind of see that. EC3 doesn't need a mouthpiece, certainly. But he did a lot of great work when he had a toady to kind of boss around, and Josh Matthews could fill that role. And it would help, get heel heat. The crowd certainly despises that guy. Okay. What's up with the cameraman who's standing next to the announce table? He often films the action in weird angles, like he's struggling to keep holding the camera straight or something. Very distracting. This has been happening for months now. Can't they just replace that guy? It might just be an aesthetic choice by whoever's directing the show from the production truck. Sometimes they go for Dutch angles just to be like artistic and stuff. Some shaky cam, same deal. It might just be a choice by whoever's directing it, because if they don't like that, they can certainly tell them to stop. Reno Scum did tone it down promo-wise this time. Yeah, they weren't as annoying when they were trying to. They weren't as annoying here. They weren't trying to emulate, the over-the-top tag teams from the '80s. I still don't like their look. The oi 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 thing just kind of bugs me. I don't know what that's about. But their backstage promo was fine when they were just kind of being themselves and not being over the top. Okay, on Shield, calling two things. Mac's daughter is Moon Girl. She's the right age, has the same hairstyle. She doesn't want to be away from that backpack, and they are definitely teasing that she is inhuman. I guess it's possible. But the thing is, if she is Moon Girl, then she only exists in the framework, and she's not in the real world, which would be a waste. Let's do. Framework Fitz is an LMD. It would explain why he remembered Gemma and why he is so robotic and emotionless. Plus, it would make sense that in a world where Ada is human, Fitz would be a machine. Okay, possibly. I kind of think not, since Ada has the Pinocchio syndrome where she wants to be a real girl and not a robot. And she's definitely fixated on Fitz. She wants to be able to feel emotions, and she wants Fitz to be a part of that. So why she would make him an LMD when her goal is to become real, I don't know. It seems to go against what she wants. And he wouldn't have to be an LMD for her to have screwed with his memories. I mean, she's screwed with everybody else's memories. So it really doesn't take much of an effort on her part to get Fitz to not remember Simmons. Because she created this whole world, basically. But we'll see, Let's see. They seem to be behind Rosemary, but as a team, the Decay are basically jobbers. Maybe Abyss doesn't want to get pushed anymore. I would assume he's retiring soon. He's already working as a producer there. Well, we know he's on the creative team. So I don't know why they're booking the Decay like this. Unless there's some kind of storyline reason for it. Maybe, I guess, if Abyss is transitioning out of an in-ring role, maybe there's going to be some infighting, and they're going to lead to Abyss getting kicked out of the group and then bringing in somebody else. I don't know. I think it does seem as if Rosemary is slightly higher than Steve and Abyss on the totem pole. So maybe they like Rosemary, they just don't like Steve and Abyss or something. I don't know what's going on there. Or maybe it's just because Rosemary is a current champion, and they're building her up to be taken down by somebody. Now, she's still seen a big reduction in her screen time, which I don't like. Okay. Storm versus Lashley for next week. That would be a great time for an EC3 heel turn. Wouldn't surprise me. Sienna has a stable now, and I have a feeling it's like with Alexa when she was the manager in NXT for Blake and Murphy, and she was a clear star of the team. I'll take your word for it. I didn't see any of that. Maybe they want to get thrown off Pop TV. I don't know why you have stuff online instead of on TV. Well, if they get thrown off Pop TV, they've basically gone out of business. So not yet. No, they don't want to get off of Pop TV just yet. They got to line up some other TV deal first. Okay. Sienna is the star of her own stable. Yeah, she really has benefited from Maria leaving, hasn't she? Ironically, Allie seems to have I feel like Allie was benefiting the most from Maria being on the show, and without Maria, I think they're still high on Allie, but the new writers don't quite know what to do with her just yet. I think the previous writers really knew how to get Allie over, and it worked like a charm. And these new writers are trying to replicate that same thing, but I don't think they're quite sure how to do it. So, and Allie is certainly still over, but she was hot as hell matter of weeks ago. Now I think the iron's cooled a little bit, which is a damn shame. There was a poll on the website, but it was still completely pointless since the show was pre-taped. Poll on the website for a show that's already been taped. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Ugh. Okay. Just finished watching One Night Only Victory Road. Rachel Ellering versus LVN was a great match. Check it out. Hell, even Brandy, of all people, had a solid match with Santana. The rest were very lackluster. Okay, well, I would credit Santana more than Brandy for that. I suspect Santana just did a great job carrying her. Thoughts on ADR and what he said on Periscope? Well, I didn't see the Periscope thing. I heard about it. I think it points to ADR being a bit of a flight risk and being quite volatile. And he doesn't seem to be able to keep his mouth shut when he gets a little inebriated. So, just, I would caution Impact to just kind of keep an eye on the guy and make sure he behaves himself, because it seems like the slightest thing can kind of set him off. Though it is nice to see somebody bad-mouthing WWE for a change instead of bad-mouthing Impact. Do you see Paige going into TNA and maybe feuding with Rosemary? I think I suspect that's probably the direction Paige is going in. She seems to want out of WWE, and if her fiance/husband, I don't know if they're married yet, is working for Impact, that's probably where she wants to go. Feuding with Rosemary, I'd love to see it. I really hope Rosemary is still there, if and when Paige shows up. Okay. Congo Kong looks like the Big Bad Mama from Married with Children. Holy shit, I remember Big Bad Mama. I remember that episode. Hopefully he's just there for this storyline and will leave afterward. I don't want to see this guy on my TV. They just signed Falaba, who I like much better. There's no need for so many monsters in one company. Yeah, Falaba is kind of the same body type, isn't he? Yeah, but big respect points for that reference. I remember Big Bad Mama. I remember that episode. And she goes up to the top turnbuckle, yeah, and Al Bundy is lying on the mat. He's like, "Somebody shoot me!" And she does the big splash off the top. Oh, poor Al. Let's see. This next week live, I don't know. Does that make you the president of the GTFO Karen Club? Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, it does. Let's see, man. I thought you want James Storm as champion. I do. I just want it in a way that makes sense. And here, they have a vote that benefited James Storm, but it was obviously rigged in order to screw over EC3, which I take issue with. I'm happy with the outcome, I just don't like the route they took to get there. Because it was contrived and it didn't need to be. Okay. Do they really need to make Matt Morgan look like Cena? He isn't a star, he never was, no matter how good TNA tries to book him. Did they make Morgan look like Cena? I don't think they did. I think they made him look like a 7-foot guy who's jacked all to shit. And you know, a guy like that should be kind of a badass. I don't really get the hate with Matt Morgan. I know he had issues in his previous run, but he was often a victim of bad booking and bad creative. And I maintain that the guy probably should have had more success than he did. For one reason or another, they just never really got behind him completely. And never really booked him to his strengths. And, yeah. I still think that guy is capable of more than we've seen him do, so I'm in favor of them giving Morgan another shot. Helms being back in the ring, did it get a pop for you being a 3-count fan? Yeah. I did flashback to a few memorable 3-count moments from WCW. I fucking loved 3-count. Those guys were awesome. There was no poll. This was taped and it was kayfabe voted on. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Thoughts on Finn Balor getting a concussion by Jinder? Yeah, test Jinder for steroids, for fuck's sake. I feel really bad for Finn Balor. Jesus Christ, the guy just came back, and now suddenly in his first singles match, he's getting injured again. Dude just can't stay healthy. Whew. Let's see. They basically sacrificed Sienna and KM just so Congo Kong could be a monster even though KM is the same size. Yeah, KM loses his debut match. I don't know what the point of that is. You debut a new talent, put him in his first match, and he loses? Never understood that. And especially to have them lose in such a stupid-looking way. I mean, the beauty of the Allie character is that she really doesn't have to win all the time. In fact, it kind of works in her favor when she does lose a good chunk of her matches because she's supposed to be the plucky underdog, like the newbie, who's fighting an uphill battle against the more seasoned competitors. So she can lose a match here and there, and it doesn't hurt her. In fact, it makes people rally behind her more. So, did Allie and Sutter really need to win this? I don't know. I wonder who will win next week. I hope ODB doesn't win. I don't see Storm winning. I don't know why the X Division match is multiple-man match. I guess because they brought Sanjay Dutt back. I'll make him win. Yeah. Alright. Wish Allie would have wrestled more than that. Me too. I mean, they've established that she's been training with Sutter, and that she can kind of handle herself in the ring now, so they don't need to keep her in-ring action so brief. I mean, she can do more than they're letting her. You know, I think the time is come to kind of transition Allie away from the helpless little bunny rabbit. And then they can transition somebody who's more fitting for that role, like transition Brandy Rhodes into it. Have Brandy play the rookie underdog who is at the bottom of the ladder and has to slowly work her way up. Because Brandy is much more fitting for that role because Brandy sucks. Cherry Bomb does not suck. She's a very good wrestler, and they're having her play somebody who can't really wrestle that well. And she's been doing that for a while now, so you can kind of evolve her out of that role. It's okay, you know? Thoughts on the Reigns-Strowman segment from Raw? I actually dozed off during that. I think that happened when I was asleep. Because I often doze off during Raw at this point. But I saw it. Strowman knocking over the ambulance. I wonder how much they had to hollow out that ambulance to make it light enough for him to lift. Because those things are like thousands of pounds. He's a big dude. There's no way he could knock that thing over if it was a real ambulance. But really impressive feat of strength there. You know, that's the kind of thing that can really get a monster over. But I don't know. I just don't find myself that excited for anything involving Roman Reigns right now. Never been especially high on Braun Strowman either. Just not really my cup of tea. It just seems like so many other generic big muscly monster guys that they've pushed over the years. I don't know. We'll see. They can always surprise me. You see AJ Lee returning to wrestling one day. Potentially. And she's still pretty young. So she's still healthy, I guess. I mean, there's no reason why she can't come back. I don't think she doesn't seem to want to go back to WWE, but she could return somewhere else, certainly. Okay. I also find it weird that Impact didn't heavily promote Knockout's Knockdown this week like they usually do. Makes me think the new regime is not too high in the Knockout division, unlike Dixie was. Yeah, I don't think they even mentioned it on the show, did they? So when I found out that it was airing this past Friday, last night, I was surprised. I didn't even know when that was. Because I didn't see any promotion. Now, granted, I was watching this show on Daily Motion the day after, so I didn't see any commercials. But yeah, they didn't. I don't think they mentioned it on the show at all, which is odd. Since it looked like they were getting into the habit of actually mentioning and promoting the one night only shows and having some kind of continuity between those shows and Impact, so kind of surprising there. I really like the current X Division storyline. Finally, a good feud that we can actually care about. They have Lee retain next week and slowly build to a Slammiversary rematch wherever it wins. Yeah, could see that happening. Would not complain if that was the plan. Kong's debut has more YouTube views than Josh Matthews' exit. Matthews said on Twitter he had more views overall with that video. Has more views, huh? Interesting. Jeff announced that GFW and Impact are merging into one. Did he really? What's the point? Is there anything to be gained by Impact merging with Pyramid Scheme Wrestling? Why even bother? Just shut GFW down and call it a day. Does that mean more people are coming into the company? Good God. I kind of hope not. They don't have enough screen time to feature the people they have now. And they've debuted like 20 new people in the past couple of weeks alone. Okay. Impact has too many people. They can't feature their champions on a regular basis. This is the main issue I have. Yeah, I agree. I'm hoping it was just an issue for these tapings because they were so focused on bringing in so many new people all at once. I still think doing it slower, like introducing like one person at a time, would have been a better way to go. And just like bring in one person and then actually spotlight and feature that person, try to get them over effectively, and then when that's done, bring in the next person. But instead, it's like this huge crowd of people all at once, and as a result, nobody really stands out. except arguably LAX. Problem with last week's Battle Royal, talent shouldn't job to ODB, but scrubs shouldn't be on TV. The whole thing just should not have happened. You're not necessarily wrong, yeah. Have you ever watched the show Scrubs? Yeah. I wasn't like an avid viewer of it, but I've watched a good number of episodes. And now people are comparing Santana Garrett to AJ Lee for some reason. So Masters has not improved at all. He is still the same wrestler he was in 2006. All right. Haven't cared enough to follow his career, but I'll take your word for it. I don't know why they bothered bringing this guy in. I don't know that anyone was really excited about the prospect of Chris Masters coming to Impact Wrestling. I mean, they gave him this really cool hype video, making him look like a Terminator or some shit. Why bother? It's just Chris Masters. It's not like he's a star or anything. I mean, he's a lot smaller than he used to be. I mean, back in the day, at least he had a great physique going for him, and now he doesn't even have that. He looks kind of skinny. So why bother with him when you've got Jesse Goddard's basically doing the same gimmick, and Jesse has a way better physique and is way better in the ring than Chris Masters is? Why even use this guy at all? Oh, right, because he was in GFW. So anyone who was in GFW, we got to bring in. Ugh. Okay. One thing I don't understand in Impact Wrestling is why is Marshe Rockett in the X Division? I think they look at Marshe Rockett and they see, okay, big guy, more agile than guys his size usually are. Let's put him in the X Division. My guess is they're trying to recreate the Samoa Joe formula of the big guy who does the high flying moves that he shouldn't be able to do for a guy his size. The thing is, that worked with Joe because Joe was a special case. I don't know that particular formula can or even needs to be replicated again. I don't know. I guess the jury is still out on whether or not it's going to work. I still think the X Division is an awkward fit on this guy, and he'd be a better fit like in the tag division or the mid-card or something. He doesn't seem to be a bad wrestler. I think it's just a case like with Braxton Sutter of they got him in a division where he's like a round peg in a square hole. I agree. It feels awkward. I don't think that's his fault though. He's in a division where he shouldn't be. Okay. Jeez, where the hell was I? Congo is flabby and Tyrus sucks. KM and Marshe are about the same size and a lot younger and in shape. Makes them redundant. You're not wrong. Why is Rocket jobbing? I believe with him being champ, it could add something different, just like when Joe was champ, the big guy competing with people smaller than him who are the high flyers. I don't know why he's jobbing, to be honest with you. I suspect maybe the new regime just aren't as high on him as the previous regime were. And he did come in at the tail end of the previous regime, so he didn't really have a chance to establish himself before the new people took over. I don't really have an answer to that. He doesn't seem like an untalented guy. I think there's potential to do something with him there. For starters, just get him out of the X division. I was thinking Rocket should compete in the Grand Championship division. That would probably be a better place for him, yeah. Why is Leva Bates still on the Indies? She's always over on the one-night-only shows, despite the fact the crowd is consisting of maybe 100 people. Seems to be a good wrestler and a funny character. I agree. Yeah, she's another one of those people where it's like, you'd think somebody would have signed her by now. I don't know. I mean, TNA have used her a couple times now, so maybe, I don't know, they like her enough to keep bringing her back. So, that's kind of what happened with Jade. They used Mia Yim on like 2 or 3 one-night-onlys, but then she got signed and became Jade, so I don't know. Maybe they're going to take a similar route with Leva Bates. She does live in the area. She works in Universal Studios, so they wouldn't have to pay for travel. We know that's a good selling point for them. Okay. A contracted talent hitting a non-contracted talent. Is that any better? It is if it's self-defense. Because if the non-contracted person hits first, then you're just defending yourself. And that's fine. I think if the contracted person hits the non-contracted person first, that's assault. Then you got a lawsuit on your hands, but that's not what happened here. Except, in that first appearance where Angelina nailed Alicia in the crowd, but I don't know, that's a bit of a gray area there. Like that Magnus pinned Bram. Nice continuity. Yeah, it was a nice nod to their previous feud. I wish the announcers had mentioned that. They don't think they mentioned the previous history between these guys at all, which was unfortunate. But like I said, why are you having someone talented eat the pin when you've got Tyrus on that team, who could eat the pin instead? Main event should be called Battle of the Generic Themes. Yeah, they really need to get rid of Dale Oliver, don't they? Okay. Team JB versus Team GOAT is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Fighting for 2 announcers. Shaking my damn head. I think the idea is that it was a vehicle to introduce a lot of new people really quickly. Magnus, Matt Morgan, Chris Masters, etc. But if that was the point, you'd think the focus would ultimately be on the wrestlers, and it wasn't. It was on the announcers. And the bickering between the announcers really dragged down several shows. So I really question the logic behind that. Now, I'm not against the idea in principle. I think the execution just kind of fucked it up. I gotta tell you, it is not easy keeping up with all these comments when you're partially dyslexic. I get mixed up very easily looking at all these things. If Matthews becomes a manager, what wrestlers should be his stable? Well, presumably wrestlers that have trouble getting over on their own. Because when Matthews cut that promo on Karen Jarrett a few weeks ago, that was really good. I mean, he can be very effective as a heel character. He can generate a lot of heat. So if you got a couple of heels that need a little help getting over, Josh should be able to help with that. Marche Rocket, there's a good example. He could be a mouthpiece for that guy. Like I said, I could also see him being a toady for EC3, because EC3 in the past was really entertaining when he had a toady working under him. There are things you could do with Matthews as a heel manager. Thoughts on what... thoughts on what Vince Russo said about wrestling fans calling them gay. I don't know the exact quote. I'm not sure what he said precisely. I don't think there's any need for that. There's no call for that. I get it. He's an old school guy. He's not a spring chicken anymore. I guess he's not really up to date on like the terminology and what you can or can't say, because calling someone gay as an insult, that's not really a cool thing to do anymore. In the 90s, you could get away with that. Not so much now. No, that's not cool. So, yeah, just don't do that. Try to keep things PC for the most part, Vince. Okay. Now, what is Josh going to do? I assume he becomes a heel manager. Robbie E. contradicted himself when laughing at Josh, but Robbie and his tweets are pro-Josh. Yeah, well, welcome to Robbie E. He's an idiot. We all know this. The guy is stupid. Yeah, the extended recaps on Impact from earlier in the night are starting to piss me off. Yeah. Yeah, there were two of them on this show. They must have totaled like 5, 6, 7 minutes. All right, if you want to do earlier on segments, okay, that's fine, but just show quick clips. You don't have to show the entire thing. Because that was a lot of time they wasted with those things. You didn't have to show several minutes of a match that we had just watched a few minutes prior. It's just very wasteful. That's time that could have been spent on other things. We could have heard promos from the people in the main event. We could have heard from Rosemary about her upcoming match with ODB. Could have used that time for a lot of stuff. Instead of just showing stuff from a previous segment just a few minutes earlier. It was just not a good use of time there at all. Okay. Thoughts on The Last Jedi? Really liked the teaser trailer. I think that's the perfect kind of teaser trailer because it doesn't reveal anything. It just gives you a taste of what the story is going to be, and some clips and some sizzle reel clips to get you excited. And I'm excited. I really enjoyed The Force Awakens, and I'm glad we're going to get to see more of Luke in this one. And yeah, like I said, I'm bad at trailer reactions. I don't really know what to say a lot of the time. But yeah, really enjoyed The Last Jedi teaser. Really excited for that. Okay. Thoughts on YouTube demonetizing wrestling videos? Even WWE's videos are being affected. Are they really? Okay, I don't know a whole lot about this. Apparently, there was a video that turned out to be like a Nazi propaganda video or something to that effect that was monetized, and the advertisers found out what the content actually was, and they freaked out. And as a result, a lot of advertisers are pulling their ads from YouTube videos, and like the copyright bots are really going nuts. And the YouTube organization is just really cracking down hard on ad revenue and monetization, and a lot of people are being affected by that. Not just not just wrestling videos. I'm surprised it's happening to the wrestling videos. That's weird, but no, a lot of YouTubers have been affected by that. TJ Kirk, the Amazing Atheist, got hit by that. Mundane Matt has said his ad revenue has dropped like 65%. Although I heard that the situation is slowly improving now, so maybe it was just like a knee-jerk reaction. But if it's happening to wrestling videos, that's surprising. Especially since WWE has gone out of their way to be as PG as humanly possible. So, but yeah, like I said, big knee-jerk reaction and probably going too far in the other direction, and now maybe I guess they got to compensate for it. Okay. Say, I love your Impact analysis. I may be known as the best Impact Wrestling reporter, but when it comes to Impact episode analysis, I give that accolade to you. Oh, thank you. Okay. Okay. Ugh. Too damn hot. The reason JBL is still with WWE is because he helps their stock in the market. Plus, he's great friends with Vince. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Although with the kind of negative PR he's drawing the company right now, I don't see how they can possibly keep this person employed. I mean, WWE is the company with like the anti-bullying campaign, and they continue to employ this person who is like being outed from several people as this like huge mean-spirited bully. You get hearing all these stories about him just harassing these people. Justin Roberts, Mauro Ranallo, in well-publicized ways. How do you keep this person? Okay, he's friends with the boss. So what? If he's drawing a lot of negative attention to your company, I mean, keep your eye on the ball here. Don't be a bully, be a star. And don't be a bully, but if you want to steal somebody's passport when you're overseas, yeah, that's fine. Ugh. Yeah, JB should have been the lead announcer for 10 years now. Tony Schiavone was right. Mike Tenay was never a lead guy, and Matthews only got the job because he came from WWE. You know, all due respect to Mike Tenay, but JB really should have taken over for him a long time ago. He should have taken over when before Josh Matthews came in, but I guess Matthews was friends with Gaburik or something, so that's how that happened. But JB really should have taken over as the lead guy a long time before that. I mean, God bless Mike Tenay, but the guy was just sleepwalking through the Impact broadcast for years. So, a change really needed to be made. I'm happy with what we've got now. JB and the Pope sounds good to me. I like JB as an announcer. Is he Jim Ross? No, but who the hell is? No one's Jim Ross except Jim Ross. I didn't really have a problem with Josh Matthews a lot of the time. I think he's a competent announcer. He undersells a lot of stuff, but compared to Mike Tenay, I thought he was still a step up. But I think JB is a step up from Josh Matthews, so I'm happy with this change. I think Josh Matthews can be really effective as a heel character / manager, though, so that's fine. But yeah, good change. Good change to the broadcast situation all around there. Wow, where am I on this? I do think they need to start pushing the future. I like Lashley as champ and all, but he's mentioning Lesnar too much. I think Impact needs to start putting less attention on him if he leaves next year. I see where you're coming from. I don't know if they can necessarily afford to give him less attention since Lashley is one of the only legit crossover stars they have right now. And he's doing great in MMA right now. I'm not watching Bellator, but from what I hear, it's starting to feel kind of ridiculous that he isn't getting a title shot yet. So you need people like that who the mainstream media and casual fans are aware of. And I think as long as he's doing the work like the work he's been doing, I think you keep that guy in the mix. And he's not slowing down. I mean, he's I don't know how old he is, but man, the guy's at the top of his game right now. So push that motherfucker. I agree. They do need to focus on younger guys and building up younger guys, but one thing at a time. They're still in a hole that they got to dig themselves out of, and you do that by focusing on the star power you've got. And Lashley is a star at the moment, so they can't really afford to take the focus off him. One thing that annoyed me was how the announcers made it seem like they've never seen Santana before, even though she was on the roster previously. Yeah, I noticed. I gave him a pass on that just because her whole run as Brittany was kind of regrettable. Again, no fault of hers, but she was just a victim of horrible creative, and they just really didn't know what to do with her. So if they just wanted to kind of retcon that, pretend it didn't happen, I was fine with it. Because honestly, I mean, what was there about her run as Brittany that was worth talking about? They gave her a win over Gail Kim in her first match, and then she spent the next year jobbing. Why even bring it up? Was there anything to bring up, really? They're like, oh yeah, Brittany was really creepy when she was hooking up with Samuel Shaw, but Rosemary better watch out, No, I was fine with what they did. I meant Josh be Madison's mouthpiece. No, Madison doesn't need a mouthpiece. She can talk fine. Spud should be EC3's guy, not Josh. I don't disagree, but if they have other plans for Spud, I think Josh could fill that role. Kind of funny how Josh Brolin is playing Thanos and now Cable. And I really wanted Stephen Lang to play Cable. I mean, look at that guy. He is Cable. I mean, Josh Brolin's a fine actor. But I don't know. I had my heart set on Stephen Lang. I think a lot of people did. Kind of like how I had my heart set on Emily Blunt for Captain Marvel. I'm warming up to Brie Larson. I liked her in Kong Skull Island. I'm getting excited for her now. So that she's kind of growing on me. and I think she'll do a good job as Captain Marvel. So that's one I just kind of had to get over. But Josh Brolin as Cable, man, it's gonna take some getting used to that idea. I look like Dean Ambrose. Thank you. I'd rather see Alicia wrestle than ODB wrestling. I think a lot of people would rather see that, yeah. Did you see last night's One Night Only Knockouts Knockdown show? No, I haven't seen it yet. Like I said, I didn't even know it was airing last night because I didn't see any advertising for it. So I'm going to try to find it somewhere. So no spoilers, please. I am behind on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Are they doing another Hydra infiltration? No. It's spoilers here. But the team are trapped in... They call it the framework, but it's basically the Matrix. And basically they're trapped in a digital world where Hydra is the ruling law enforcement agency. So it's kind of a what-if scenario. In fact, there was an episode a couple weeks ago that was titled What If. So it's basically taking some ideas from the What If comic series. But yeah, Hydra is still gone in canon, but it's like this alternate reality type situation. EC3 costing Storm the TNA title would make sense if they wanted to turn EC3 heel. It would make sense, yeah. I had the pleasure of having Chris Masters as a guest in my home when I worked for the Hearts. Chris Mordesky is a class act ever since the word, is a good person and a friend. I'm sure Chris Mordesky is a very nice person. I've never had much of a desire to see him on my television. I did hear about him, I think it was saving his mom from a fire by pulling a tree out of the roots and like breaking a window or something to get her out. Yeah, I'm sure he's a great guy. But, it's kind of a similar situation to, the hell was that guy's name? Chris Melendez. Hey, I'm sure you're an awesome person, appreciate your service. Doesn't necessarily mean I want to see you wrestle. Just the way it is. Okay. Your views on the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. I love Kenny Omega. Loved him for a long time. I want to see somebody sign that guy. But I guess that's not what he's looking for. I guess he likes working in Japan. So I'd love for an American promotion to sign him so I could watch him more. I think he's one of the most entertaining guys. Young Bucks are awesome. And it's kind of bizarre that nobody's made a play for them. I know that people have tried to sign them, and they just didn't get the kind of offer they wanted. And luckily for them, they're savvy enough that they can market themselves, and they're making a good enough living on the indies that maybe they don't need to sign with with one of the big companies to make a nice living. So good for them, I guess. Talents like that deserve to be working for like a big company somewhere. Allie needs to wrestle more. She hasn't really done much of anything. Yeah, I agree. They need to let her wrestle more, yeah. LVN, on the other hand, is now awesome as this new character. Oh, totally agree. I don't know what happened, but I was enjoying her as the stuck-up, spoiled rich bitch, and then they changed her into the drunken, jilted bridezilla, and it just took off. I can't stress enough how much she's been just crushing this angle. I really hope they've got something good for her because she's been really fucking entertaining with this stuff. Okay. The new writers shouldn't be replicating what Allie was. She should have moved on from that stage. They should be looking toward building her up as a wrestler. Yeah, agreed. Because they've kind of evolved her. I mean, she started out as the girl the newbie who couldn't wrestle, and then she started training, and now she can kind of handle herself. So they don't really need to be presenting her as a girl who only wins by fluke anymore. It's not really necessary at this point. Like I said, they should kind of transition Brandy into that role because she is a rookie who isn't good in the ring. Allie can be good in the ring now. You don't have to have her playing that role anymore. Okay. Favorite Married with Children moment. I don't know about favorite moment. I'll tell you my favorite episode is when Al started the Church of No Ma'am. They started they turned No Ma'am into a church to get tax exempt status, and Al dresses up as the preacher and everything. God, I haven't seen that in years. But yeah, that was my favorite episode. Yeah, I love that show so much. Okay. Do you think Impact would be better off financially if they taped all their shows in Canada, India, and the UK? I'm thinking Impact needs to stop taping their shows in the US for a while. Better off financially? Probably not. I know they tape in Universal Studios because it's cheaper than going on the road. They rent out Studio 21 or whichever one it is, and they can't charge tickets. But staying in one location, cost is more feasible financially than taking all their gear on the road and paying for travel every 2 weeks. So yeah, but going to Canada, I don't know. Maybe if they could strike some kind of deal with an arena in Canada, that might work. Because I think Anthem is based out of Canada, but India, no, I don't think so. UK, I guess it would depend on how many tickets they're selling. Because the UK tour, that's typically the biggest crowds they get. They could probably sell enough tickets there to be to make the tours profitable. But doing it over to shoot TV over there all the time, I don't know if they could hang that. I don't know if they could do that long term. Do you think Matt Hardy came up with the Broken Hardy gimmick, or is TNA the real mind behind it? I think it was a number of different people. Billy Corgan was always quick to point out how JB really had a big hand in creating that gimmick. I'm sure Matt Hardy had a ton of input, but I don't think he was the only one there. The only one doing it. There's probably a number of different people who contributed to that. KM won his debut match last week when he debuted 2 weeks ago. Oh, that's right. Yeah, forgot that. I'm sorry. I'm my bad on that. I was kind of tired when I watched the show. I had to work really late on Thursday night. Didn't really get to sleep until the wee hours of Friday morning, so I don't know. Maybe I wasn't. I was still kind of drowsy when I watched. My bad. I apologize for that. More obnoxious tag team: Enzo and Cass or Reno Scum. More obnoxious? Oh, jeez, I don't know. Right now, I think I would say Enzo and Cass, just because they've been on TV longer, doing this. Excuse me, doing the same shtick longer. Yeah, they're still cutting the same damn promo every single week. The same catchphrases over and over and over and over and over. With Reno Scum, they're annoying, but they've only been annoying for a couple of weeks. So they're still they're. I mean, they could change up their act tomorrow, when they want if they wanted to. I don't feel like Enzo and Cass are going to change, at least not in the short term. With Reno Scum, when they first show up and they cut this backstage promo where they're screaming at the top of their lungs, they're all in over the top 1980s mode. Now they've kind of toned it down a little bit, at least in backstage promos. So that's good. I wish they'd change the oi 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 thing, because I guess that's some kind of punk rock battle cry or something that I'm not aware of. I think their look is stupid. Mohawk guy, lose the sideburns at least, man. You look like a damn fool. Of course, Enzo looks pretty stupid too, so I guess they're in the same boat. Yeah, KM beat Braxton in his debut match, actually. Yeah, I remember that now. I apologize. I goofed on that one. You see Rey Mysterio showing up at the Impact Zone on Thursday. I guess anything's possible. I don't really care, though. I mean, if he shows up, okay, cool, but what are they going to do with him? The guy blows his knee out if you look at him funny. So they can't really push him that much. I mean, he's just a walking injury waiting to happen at this point, so he might be. I guess he might be there for like a showcase match or a special attraction match, like every once in a while. But he's not somebody you can bank on long term. The guy just can't stay healthy. I'm honestly burned out on Matt Hardy's stuff. I think the Hardys are prime examples of why you never give talents too much creative control, because they end up getting egos and they try to suck up all the company's money. Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, as entertaining as the Expedition of Gold stuff was, it really wasn't helping anybody except the Hardys. Meanwhile, the rest of your tag team division was just languishing and going to waste. So, what was the end goal in all that? You know, I really enjoyed the Broken gimmick, but ultimately, you know, the Hardys were just going into business for themselves by the end of it there. So, I guess they kind of did need to be reined in. Unfortunately, TNA didn't realize it in time, and they ended up with kind of an embarrassing situation where the Hardys were still tag team champions and no longer contracted to the company. Impact management really need to stop letting that stuff happen, because that's not the first time that they've done that with a current champion, and I suspect it won't be the last. Do you think any former WWE wrestlers coming to Impact? Yeah, potentially Paige, when she becomes a former WWE wrestler. It's probably just a matter of time. Let's see. All right, my voice is starting to go here, so let's think about wrapping this up. Favorite wrestler as a kid? As a little kid, it was the Ultimate Warrior. Later on, it was Sting. Then it was Edge. Chris Sabin, just because I love the guy's style and stuff. All-time favorite, probably Edge. But I've had a couple favorites. Holy crap. I think I just... Oh, jeez. Alright, I've lost my place. Just loaded up a bunch of new comments all at once. 1 second. Josh did mention the feud Bram and Magnus had on commentary. Now, did he? I guess him and JB were so busy sniping at each other, I must have missed it. They certainly didn't focus on it, if it was mentioned at all. I think there are too many wrestlers currently on the roster. There is a lack of focus show to show with the exception of the main angles. Yeah, definitely. And they've signed so many new people, and the roster has gone from being too small to being too big. And suddenly you've got people like Moose, who's not even on the show, LAX, not even on the show, Rosemary, who's not on the show for certain shows at a time. A lot of your notable stars not on the show because there's just no room for them. As I appreciate them trying to replenish their depleted roster, but they went so overboard, now they've got too many people to feature and not enough time to do it all unless they get another show. So I don't know what they're going to do there. Maybe they're going to farm some of these talents out to the companies that they've made partnerships with. Maybe send some of them to Crash, some of them to Pro Wrestling Noah. I don't know, but they got a lot of people all of a sudden, and I don't know what they're going to do with them all. Oh, boy. Why is Robbie E still in TNA? I have no idea. What did you think about the It trailer? Jury's still out. I think it looked well shot. I think there is an over-reliance on jump scares, which I'm not a fan of. But we'll see. It was just one trailer. Maybe it was just a bad trailer. I'll wait for the next one. I'll still see it. Those evil clowns definitely freak me out, but yeah. Too many jump scares, but like I said, it's just the first trailer. There's plenty of time to make a better one. With the exception of LAX and Del Rio, the fans don't care about the newer has-beens or the current wrestlers, but it is funny that TNA thinks they do. Yeah. Well, I don't know if funny is the right word for the company thinking that people care about Karen Jarrett. Yeah, it's not funny so much as it is depressing. But yeah, a little bit of self-awareness would really help the current management, especially with Jeff Jarrett. I mean, they've got their heads so far up their asses in terms of we need to throw everything Dixie related under the bus and hype up the new regime as like God's gift to wrestling. And so, I mean, we know Jeff Jarrett is very self-serving. It just kind of comes with the territory when you're dealing with him. But you don't have to throw everything associated with the past under the bus. Not all of it was bad. A lot of it was good. You need to take the good stuff and use that to make more money. And I don't know that he really understands that. I get the feeling that he's putting his own agendas ahead of uh, thinking objectively. So, that's something we really need to watch out for. Okay. Okay. Congrats on getting married to Renee. I don't see how I look like Dean Ambrose. Maybe with my hair combed over like this, combed forward like that. Maybe a little bit. I don't see it otherwise though. I guess around here, this area, sort of. Yeah. Guess my hair is getting kind of long again, isn't it? Impact still feels kind of bland. I love Impact. I want it to do good. What do you think they need to liven their product? Well, I think I already mentioned it. I do think these past TV tapings weren't exactly perfect. I think there was some progress made, but I think they tried to do too much too soon, especially introducing so many new people all at once. I think they need to slow down a little bit and try to focus on actually getting some of these people over. You don't need to debut any new people for a while. You're okay with the people you have. Just try to focus on some of these. Don't try to feature all of them. Like I said, just identify your core group and just focus on getting those people over, and then branch out. And enough with the announced feud. You want to roll with JB and Pope? Okay, fine. Just let them call the show. It's not rocket science. Just focus on making a good show and not trying to do too much. Because I think they got a little bit ahead of themselves with these last couple of shows. Just take a step back. I think Project Looking Glass on AOS is a way for the people like Evil Fits to enter their bodies in the real world but have their framework minds. Yeah, possibly. I was wondering if maybe it's going to be a thing like in Tron Legacy where Clue wanted to take all his forces in the digital world and invade the real world somehow. Maybe that's what Ada's up to. That would be really interesting. Of course, they need LMD bodies for all those people. Wanting to bring a digital consciousness into the real world. Yeah, who knows? I'm interested to find out what Project Looking Glass is about, though. Definitely. I think LVN should take the drunk Bridezilla gimmick and make her a more mommy dearest Mother Bates character from Psycho. I think she could do it, actually. Impact need to improve in the next tapings. These episodes in the March tapings were good with some exceptions, but they need to do better. Yeah. Definitely things they can improve on, definitely. Can't wait to see down the road a few months from now to see an LVN Knockouts title run. Of course, after Bound for Glory, because Rosemary needs to continue to be built as the monster in the Knockout division. Yeah. I want to see Rosemary keep that belt until Bound for Glory. In my ideal scenario, she'd hold the belt until Bound for Glory and then drop it to Allie. Because 2016 was a bad year for the Knockouts title. There were so many lackluster title reigns and hot potato title reigns. They were really in need of a compelling, strong, long-term champion to kind of reestablish that title. And that's what Rosemary's done. She's the most interesting Knockouts champion they've had in ages. I don't see any reason to take the belt off her anytime soon. So, if they can swing it, if they can make it happen, by all means, keep the title on her until Bound for Glory. Make her the longest reigning champion. That's something they could stand to do right now. Just a long-term fixture at the top of the division, and then have her put somebody over who would really benefit from it. I mean, nobody benefits from Rosemary dropping the title to ODB or Gail Kim. There's no need to see that. No need to do that again. So just build her up and have her put over someone who'll really benefit. Plus, then we could see Courtney Rush versus Cherry Bomb on TV. The best feud in women's wrestling. I think we all want to see that. I think you're forgetting even last year Rosemary was booked not very good against Gail, Brandy, and Raquel. Both Raquel and Brandy had more offense than Rosemary. That was awful. Oh, I'm not forgetting. I'm not forgetting. Yeah, Rosemary's debut match was against Gail, and she technically won that match, but remember how it was booked, where Gail was closing in on the victory, and it was only through the interference of Crazy Steve and Maria that Rosemary got the victory, and then the victory was never mentioned again. And it ended up being more about pushing the Gail-Maria feud than it was doing anything for Rosemary. To this day, that win has not been mentioned. And they had her, when they were, Decay were feuding with the Bromance, they had Rosemary, they kind of sacrificed her to make Raquel look good. Yeah, great decision there, guys. Ugh. And then the Brandy thing, I don't know what the hell they were thinking with Brandy. I don't know. They have her in that mixed tag with Brandy, and she doesn't get a single move of offense. Brandy just makes her look ridiculous. And Brandy's offense is so bad, too. I don't know what... I don't get it. And I lost my place again. Oh, jeez. How much more is there? Oh, okay. All right, get your final questions and comments in now, because I'm going to put the cutoff point in a minute, because I don't know how much longer my voice is going to last. Okay. Morgan and Magnus are so generic and boring, but I guess the new people in charge think Morgan and Magnus are cool or something. All right, well, I really don't agree with you. Okay, Morgan, all right, he's not for everybody. I maintain that you're wrong about Magnus. I was on the Magnus train before that was a cool place to be. I think he's a very underrated talent. I think he's a fantastic gateway star for the UK audience. You know, he's got that crossover appeal again to the UK audience, which they kind of need to rebuild their fan base over there after losing their TV deal for a while. Yeah, his world title reign sucked, but that wasn't his fault. You can't blame him for that. Creative just ruined him after they gave him the world title. He was another guy who was just a victim of bad booking and bad creative a lot of the time. And no, I think you're being too hard on Magnus there. I'm sorry. I forgot that LVN was playing the rich character before this new character. That says a lot about how entertaining she has become. Yeah, definitely. Cried like a baby when Edge retired in 2011. Yeah, that was a sad night. At least he found out about the spinal condition before he ended up in a wheelchair, thank God. Yeah, that was rough. At the very least, you know, he retired before he became one of those guys who holds on too long. So he went out when he was still great. So, 20, 30, 40 years from now, he'll still be one of the greats. That's something. See, live events will be very important. There'll be testers for more dates and places to tape TV so they don't tape too much and too frequently in one location. Yeah, we know they want to start doing startup. They want to start up live events in the not too distant future. I would caution them against trying to do too much too soon, though. If I was doing it, I'd say try doing one live event and see if you can draw a crowd. Promote the hell out of it. Advertise it. We know they don't like doing that, but in this case, try it. What have you got to lose? Just do a lot of promotion. See if you can draw a crowd. See if you can sell the place out. If you actually make money on it, then focus on doing another one. And then if you can do a couple in a row where you actually make money on these live events, then start a live event schedule. And just see if it's maintainable. There's no reason to do too much too soon. Because they can't really afford to make a lot of stupid mistakes right now. Even if they do have a financial backer finally. Where will Taylor Hendricks end up going to? Well, I suspect she left ROH when she did because she's looking to get a spot in that WWE Women's Tournament. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her show up there. Beyond that, who knows? If TNA wanted to bring her back, I think she'd be a good replacement for Maria. Because she's got great mic skills. She can fill that role really well. I don't really think they need anyone to fill that role, but if they were looking for someone to do it, I think Taylor could do it. If you could cut a promo on anyone in TNA like you did in the Fan Revenge video about beer money I watched so many times it made me laugh every time, could you do one for Robbie E? I don't see why I would. I don't think Robbie E deserves my attention. I think I gave him enough attention when I put his face on a hot-selling brand of toilet paper. Listen to the HeelCast for information on that. But would I cut a promo on Robbie E? Nah, he doesn't deserve it. He's not even on my radar. They have no self-awareness. Clearly, the way they book the current wrestlers compared to the rejects that have come in, it's like, do they not know the current roster is popular with the fans? I guess not. Yeah, that's definitely a question I've been asking myself, too. It's like, Decay is really popular. Why are you jobbing them out so much? Rosemary is really popular. Why isn't she on the show more? Stuff like that. Glad the DCC broke up. Good to see Storm as a babyface again, and Bram deserves way better than his being booked right now. Yeah. I maintain the DCC had potential. It just, for whatever reason, it just didn't come together. Be it, I think they were one of the people that really suffered when the transition to the new regime took over. It's like, even though the former regime didn't really seem to have much of a plan for them, or any plan, they just seemed kind of aimless, just kind of drifting from one thing to another without any real direction. So I don't know what the plan was for them originally, but for one reason or another, it just didn't come together. I think the three of them could have done something, but it wasn't really working out, and the new regime isn't a fan of them, so if they wanted to break them up, I'm glad to see Storm getting into the world title picture. Hashtag Storm for champ. Also, it's encouraging that Bram was in the main event here, even though he did the job. So I would like to see them do something with Bram, because that's another super talented guy. Kingston, I suspect we've seen the last of him. which kind of sucks for him. But yeah, I think the writing was on the wall after his girlfriend left. Impact need to push Eli Drake. Damn straight they do. It's like they were trying to get the newer talent over in a single episode instead of building them up slowly. Yeah, exactly. Is TGA jumping for joy with Evil Fitz? Oh yeah. Yeah, he loves it. He thinks Fitz is going to stay in the framework after the team gets out. I keep trying to tell him no, that doesn't really make sense. They're not going to leave him in there, and he's only this way because Ada has screwed with his memories and twisted his mind around. Now he doesn't want to hear it. He loves it, and I will admit I'm really enjoying Evil Fitz too, because I have this fascination with characters that make the switch from like light and comedic to dark and intense and stuff. I like that stuff. So I'm enjoying it. Although I understand it's only a temporary thing, and then they're going to go back to normal Fitz. Obviously, he's going to be traumatized as all hell after remembering having done all this horrible stuff. So they can still take him in a dark direction, which I like. I like that EC3 is turning heel, but the booking is making him constantly switch from a jerk to a nice guy. Yeah, that could be a smoother transition. Really could. The lack of new storylines is very clear. There is no tag team feud currently, which gets a lot of TV time, but nothing really in their storyline-wise. Agreed. Which makes it all the more baffling why they didn't immediately move into an LAX Decay feud. You got the only established tag team on your roster, and instead of pushing them into a feud with the new tag team champions, you're jobbing them out so they mean nothing. Which is why I still think it would have made a hell of a lot more sense for Decay to become the new tag team champions instead of LAX. Because then you've got a clear direction. You've got the new LAX, whose goal was to come to TNA to take the tag team championships, as Conan pointed out. So then you crown new tag team champions, and Decay win the title, and LAX win the titles. Okay, so now what? Now I guess they just want to keep the titles. Except they're still in the company. Conan was pissed because the Hardys won the Crash tag team championships and then they left. So by revenge, he has LAX come to Impact, win the tag team titles, and then stay in Impact. It's like they blew their load too soon. I still think would have made more sense have Decay win the tag team championships and then have LAX go after them. Then you've reestablished the Decay as a force, and you've got LAX a clear direction to go in. Instead, you have Decay, you have the LAX win the tag titles, and you bury Decay, and now what's the direction for the tag division? I don't know. Not a fan of the direction they took. Okay. Did you like Watchmen? I love that movie. It's the only Zack Snyder. I love that Watchmen is a dark story to begin with. I like Watchmen a lot. I have the DVD somewhere. Yeah, I'm not sure where exactly it is. It's back there somewhere. Yeah, I love that movie. One example of light and comedic character turning dark is Speedball to Penance. I'm like one of the only people that liked his arc. Oh, I like that too, actually. Really, I mean, it was a little bit of a cliche, turning him into like the '90s like emo anti-hero type thing. But I actually liked what they did with him. I think it was in Warren Ellis's Thunderbolts. I liked what Warren Ellis did with him. He's back to being Speedball now, but which is fine. I always liked Speedball. Of course, I was a big fan of the original run of the New Warriors back in the '90s, and Speedball was always my favorite character on that in that book. So I actually really enjoyed what they did with him on that one. And is there anything else here? Nah, I think that's it. Yeah, Fourth Dimension Fool Killer tweeted at you. Thoughts on that? Yeah, I saw that. I know he's still around here somewhere. I don't really know where he is right now, but he's always watching me from the shadows, just watching and waiting for his time to return. Yeah, well, we'll see. He'll pop up sooner or later to make my life miserable, because that's just what that's just the way he rolls. That son of a bitch. Anyway, that's about it, I think. Kyle from the HeelCast. Oh yeah, Kyle was in here too, somewhere, wasn't he? No, I didn't notice that. But okay. Nice of Kyle to join us. All right, cool. Yeah, I don't know how much longer my voice is going to last here. Second stream of the day. So, kind of need to rest my voice a little bit. So I'm going to call it a day there, so we can all get back to whatever it is we'd rather be doing on Saturday night. Again, sorry we got started a little late here. I dozed off a little bit when I came home. So, yeah, we should. I think the Thursday stream should happen at its usual time this week. And but if I have to delay it to another day, there's always a notice. So follow me on Twitter for updates at TheRealFK9, and I will talk to you guys in a couple days. Thanks for joining me on this Saturday night. Over. Out.